hello, hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James J., alongside the leader of Squash Squad, Kaliko Yachts.
Somebody play the Beastie Boys because I feel like I got sabotaged.
And of course, the American Scooter Dust, who is not with us this week. But it was a good week for Wrestling Lit, as on Tuesday we interviewed Bovey. Great conversation, great individual. It's always fun when it's just somebody you just connect with and just like have a normal conversation. I can't recommend that interview enough. Obviously, Marie Valdomina on Wednesday, another incredible interview. Even got a good Thanksgiving story out of her. Um, so definitely check that out as well. This upcoming Tuesday, we have Mickey Molbolt from Sweden, one half of the Bearded Brothers. We talk about that. Um, Competing against his trainer, karaoke, and a hell of a lot more. You're definitely going to see the Bearded Brother in a new light, and you can see that this upcoming Tuesday. And then this upcoming Wednesday, we have Alex Ace, a 7-footer from Spain, and he's wrestling the famed Corrigan Hall. He's wrestled against legends like Psychosis. He tells us about the car he was in exploding. And there's a lot of interesting things, especially William Regal recommended him for a tryout. AEW, he was an extra for AEW, and we talk all of that and a hell of a lot more. You can check that interview out this Wednesday, but for right now, you can listen to a little clip. Now, can you tell us about your love of karaoke?
My love for karaoke, it comes from getting into wrestling as well as um, going with a couple of friends from my the bar that I frequent, essentially, other regulars there, um, and I chose War Pigs as a good song because I know the lyrics for once. But Marcus of Man sings karaoke as well. We actually after a long night of drinking, we ended up at his place and we sang old show tunes into the death of night. I'm amazed that he didn't get evicted. It was so fun.
Well, I did have a question about Psychosis, but I'll put a pin in that for a moment. Could you tell us about the ring truck catching fire?
Okay. Okay, so I could never tell you what two towns we were traveling between because we did so many that it kind of blurs together. I definitely know that we were in the middle of British Columbia. We were 4 hours out from our previous show. It must have been about 2 a.m. We're driving on this road, was forest on either side, complete, pitch black. It was a new pickup truck, but I'm not sure if it was designed to pull the trailer that was, very, very heavy with the ring inside, because we had two sets of posts, the low ones and the high ones, depending on the venues, and just everyone's bags were in there. And I was in the car with whoever the pickup belonged to. I can't remember his name now. He wasn't part of the promotion. He was helping them out. and then there were 3 other workers, and I remember everyone was just sleeping, and I always sat in the front because that's, I didn't have room anywhere else. And I just remember hearing the revolutions, suddenly it kind of something popped and the revolutions went up to the red, the red lines.
Yeah.
And then something was making a weird noise. Smoke started coming out of the front of the car, and I just told the driver, please stop, please stop. And he goes, what's going on? What's going on? The next thing we hear is an explosion, and the whole front of the car is on fire.
All right. And then on the 6th, we have Lola Harvey, and on the 13th, well, I should say December 6th, I should say. And then December 13th, we have Jessica Black. Now that we're done putting ourselves over, it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. We'll get into Full Gear and everything that comes out of it. We'll get into Full Gear and review all of that in a little bit, but there are some things that came out of that, so that I do find interesting that we could talk about because, spoilers. Um, it's said that the Young Bucks are taking some time off after their lackluster match against Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho for the foreseeable future, which is, a good thing. But when they do come back, they are expected to make an impact. In 20, well, let's say 2024. Let's say they don't come back for the remainder of the year. Does the Young Bucks actually make an impact in 2024? It seems like, they're not entirely motivated to actually work anymore.
I mean, it just depends. Well, it's the double entendre, right? Because the tag team division was built around FTR and the Bucks, and because of the fact that it's such a deep tag team division, that felt so long ago, and now I don't feel that anymore. So it's just the impact is the impact on who, because if other tag teams can come up in the mix, then for sure, that's a group that they can be like a gatekeeper to the chips. But other than that, not so much.
I thought it meant that they were going to Impact, which might not be a bad thing.
Ain't that much better because it's still not a deep tag team division.
I mean, when you look at
Like,
it, there are, some good tag teams. You have FTR, you have Ricky Starks and Big Bill, House of Black and Any Rendition, um, Private Party, Top Flight.
private parties on a milk crate, and you know it. But you remember when they used to have an in-depth of up and rising tag teams that never really broke through, and that's the problem.
Right.
And it's honestly, I think that's just tag teams all across the board because for some odd reason, everyone has this formula those people and making them team up for a cause rather than actually, putting in the work of tag team,
Right.
of actual tag team gamemanship. And I can make an argument. You see, the last great tag team that I saw tag team match was, let me see, the Usos and Jane Cavanelas have been together forever, but there was two singles people that came together. But the last two tag teams where they were actual tag teams, I would have to go back to like New Day Usos or like FTR, the Revival American Alpha Day.
Be a little bit more fair. FTR versus the Briscoes was amazing. Um,
Yes, okay. That one. Hardy's Briscoes.
um, yeah. What is their names? Just last year, um, Street Profits versus the Usos at not SummerSlam, Money in the Bank. That was a really good match. Um, yeah, there, they have been far and few, but there has been just tag team wrestling in general has been far and few when it comes to you know it getting time. There hasn't been a lot of time allowed it to these guys, and it's a sad situation when the women's tag team championships are getting more attention than the males. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but give me one second for this is getting on my nerves.
I just like getting back to the Young Bucks. They Nobody will doubt that they were one of the best tag teams of their time. They did do what they set out to do, and that was make being an independent pro wrestler profitable. They were literally rock stars on the independents, whether it was Ring of Honor, whatever independent bookings they did, and obviously New Japan. They were the number one merch sellers. People paid to see the Young Bucks on these shows. But ever since AEW started, and they're comfortably living because they don't have to do that hustle. They don't have to do any of that anymore. It seems like they got complacent and that they lost their motivation to wrestle. And when you lose your motivation to actually wrestle, who's going to want to see you wrestle? You know what I mean?
That could be the case, but I also look at it from the standpoint of when they got there, it was supposed to be to uplift a group of people in a tag team that otherwise wouldn't have got that chance, right? So, like when we talk about private parties, and I mean, remember Pillman Jr. Remember they're supposed to be like, was it the Varsity Blues or something like that? I forgot the name
The
of the
Varsity
tag team.
Bronze.
The Varsity Bronze, yeah, this, and that didn't pop off. Private Party didn't pop off. Um, it just seemed like other than FTR, Young Bucks, Pentagon,
And Ray Phoenix.
Phoenix, Swerve and Keith Lee,
They was not a tag team
Omega and
anymore.
Hangman. Like I can think of but the thing is, the fact when I think of the division, those names pop up more than you see what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Those names pop up more so than the ones that they were supposed to try to build up. Even like Luchasaurus Jack Perry, that's on the back line.
yeah. I don't know. It just seems like it was supposed to be tag team wrestling was supposed to be a big thing in AEW, and it became like WWE. It's something that falls to the wayside now. Not not maybe not theirs to blame, but it is what it is.
I mean, it's not theirs to blame. I just think it's just more of a. I mean, it's kind of an interest of opportunity, and I feel like some of those tag teams didn't get opportunity to flow as much as they did. Like when Private Party had that match with the Bucks, you remember, even though they lost, you would have thought they built on the buzz, and then they got to Matt Hardy, and then they kind of got lost. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right,
it's a lot of mitigating factors with it. So I'm not blaming the Bucks per se,
oh
but
no,
I'm just saying like that's the result of what happened. You know what I'm saying?
right, and they did lose opportunities because AW did, because look at Brian Pillman Jr. Alexis King and in NXT popping off against Carmelo and a Trip.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's a whole nother thing because the thing off with is Mello, who you can make the argument NXT Star of the Year is
Right.
huge.
Speaking of huge, Lunchasaurus. His new name is Killswitch. Um, I would say it's a good thing to maybe make the dinosaur something different. Lunchosaurus is not exactly the most, threatening name in the world, so I'm somewhat pro Kill Switch, even though it's a stupid fucking name. Maybe a new mask would be fitting for Kill Switch as well. Um, because if I'm being honest, low key, Lunchosaurus could be Kane-esque looking, even though they've been jobbing him out to the baby faces for the last couple of months, or maybe years at this point.
Name change doesn't mean nothing if they don't do anything with it.
What
Prime example,
yeah,
like heel change doesn't do anything unless you do something with it. Because changing the name does nothing for him unless it builds to something significant. And that's the question. What is it? Is it going to build to him hitting the kill switch on Christian?
hmm. I mean, they were. It did seem like they were teasing it before we got to Edge coming in. So it's a, but now they have a name for their group. So it's okay. They're going this route. Okay, no, they're going that route. Oh, well, now they're flying in the air. AEW could be very misleading sometimes. Most of the time. All the
Tell
fucking
me about it.
time. And our good friend Damian Wayne has a new nickname. It is Pro Diggity. So he is
Prodigy,
Pro Diggity. Yes.
Pro Diggity. That sounds like the Blackstreet song, No Diggity.
Interesting how we have our own ideas of what we're saying. So we got Kill Switch and Pro Diggity and Christian. It's sounding like somebody took words out of a random book at this point.
I mean, Kill Switch is Kill Switch Engage, CM Punk, Prodigy. I mean, No Diggity. I just think Dr. Dre and Blackstreet.
Well, what do you think when you hear that Renee Baguette Young Ambrose Moxley um, is going to be a producer on AEW? With
Renee Paquette.
Renee Baguette.
I'm just saying.
I, it
And they
if
fucking hit
you're a
Rosa.
wrestler that is producing, okay, well you do pro wrestling, so you know how to produce wrestling. But when you're only ever had, commentating and announcing, am I really going to trust you to produce myself? You know what I mean?
I mean, she's been around enough death matches to know, I guess, right?
So everybody's going to bleed and scream obscenities like Mox.
Maybe she did the swerve death match. You never know.
Renee Paquette was the producer for Swerve and Hangman.
Might have been, AIDS getting spread around. God knows.
And
I'm
unfortunately,
just saying.
a bad bit of news. Juice Robinson has a back injury. He will be out for quite some time. He's having surgery. Um, it really just sucks for Juice Robinson. It does seem like every time, he does something that's taking off or getting him over, something like this stops it or he gets injured. Yes, no, agree, disagree.
Pretty much. I mean, but then again, at least he's known for something other than being like Tony Storm's husband. So I mean, give him that. Give him that much.
Well, luckily they haven't, nobody's pulled the trigger on that, except for, what is his name? Fred Roswell. And I know
Hmm.
not a lot of people unfortunately saw that, so I think he's safe for right now.
We'll see.
Yeah. Alright, I think that will take care of the news for now. And now a quick word from our sponsors. So,
Rogue Energy, the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low calorie, no sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0-calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off brands out there that are presenting low quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre-workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue Energy, more focus, more wins.
use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with AEW Full Gear Review. Took place last Saturday at the Kaya Forum in Englewood, California. Attendance was,
Kia Forum, Inglewood, California.
I don't know why you're mispronouncing these names. They're pretty easy to get. Um,
I mean, for anybody who has a Kia would know it's a Kia.
um, Attendance was 12,904. It is a 17,000 seat arena, so this is the most they've had in quite some time. Uh, is that just the attendance? Do you think that's just we don't get AEW that much on the West Coast, so it's a more desired ticket than if they would have done it in I don't know, let's say Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah. Pretty much, because I can make the argument was that they've done more shows in Chicago for 3 months than they did on the whole side of California in 3 years. So yeah, it's a big fucking problem. But then again, that's what it is, demand. It's just the demand of that ticket because it's so rare. Which Tony already knew that from the last time I went to that show because they were like, "Yeah, we want a pay per view there." When they were there for yeah, what was it, Dynamite Impact, one goddamn show. Anyway,
It was Dynamite in January, I believe.
Dynamite and Rampage. There we go. So he knows it. There's a demand there. It's very rare. But even then, 12,000. When you're thinking what uh, on a Saturday, it's not bad. Could have been better, but that's not a bad number for the Kia Forum. The day prior to the Rams being.
I mean, yeah, close to 13,000. This is the most, you know, fans they've had in attendance for quite some time. So and it was a hot crowd. The crowd, I will say that they were into what was going on. To a point which we'll get to when we get to it. Um,
Well, considering that they ain't there that often, they got um, side note, goddamn building down.
um, we will. I will say that I was there, so I do have a first-hand perspective of what the crowd was doing and what they were digging, what they were not digging. Now, let's get into the matches, and we're gonna start with pre the last match on the pre-show because of the relevance it had on the main show, and that is MJF and Samoa Joe defeating the Guns. I should say the Ass Boys, Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn by submission in 9 minutes and 25 seconds to retain the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. Not a bad match. Never a bad thing to see Samoa Joe on your screen. But let's face it, this was more the most significant part of the show because of the injury angle done with MJF. No, Kaliko?
Pretty much what it was. I mean, face MJF is very creepy than heel MJF. So kind of got to get used to it in a sense.
Yeah. So we go.
But me going back and watching the replay, it wasn't that bad of a match. It's just that you know how when you like somebody for something so much and then you're like, yeah, we kind of need you to go back to that.
Right.
That, that that's MJF in a nutshell.
Now, how did you feel about this being on the pre-show and not the first match on the actual show? Oh, I believe that's me.
So we were talking about MJF on on the pre-show.
Yeah.
You remember when we had this conversation about because people talk shit about Roman Reigns being a part timer,
Yeah.
but the whole point of him being a part timer is when he shows up, the shit matters.
Right.
and you can get to a point where you're exhausting the audience of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with MJF. I feel like they're kind of exhausting him too much because the fact that he's out on the pre-show, why would I care that he's out in the main event? You know what I'm saying? Or defending the title.
I know, I get it, but it's when MGF comes on the screen, it is literally their only ratings boost at this point. Except for Skype
That
maybe.
is, I
Um,
mean, that's true, but the issue is that like
those ratings start
it
to go
tends
down after a while.
it t- it tends to go to a dependency. That's my problem. Where you're too dependent on it, and that's to me the biggest issue because then what's the difference between him coming out defending the tag title and him defending the heavyweight title?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? There's no specialness to it, right? Like when Ric Flair came out and defended the title, you was like, oh shit, I only get one chance to see Ric Flair. God damn it, I'm gonna make it count.
Except for like now, where he's like everywhere, and he
Yeah, then
continuously
that's
has
my
been.
pro. See, you see my point? Yes, you're making my point to the T.
But what is the right way to do this? Put this match on the pre-show because and hope that it gets some people to buy the paid preview, or have it as the first match on the paid preview to get the people invested, ready to go. Um, because I personally feel like if you're not a fan of AEW, you're not. If this was on TV, maybe it would have worked. But because it's on literally YouTube, and if you're not actively looking for AEW, you're not actively going to if you're not looking for it, you're not going to find it. So, the people that were
But
going that watching the
I think
pre-show were already or AEW fans that were probably going to buy the paid preview anyway. Am I wrong
right.
here?
No, you're not wrong on that. It's just the fact that it's like they have to. But this goes back to where they have a problem where they're appeasing the base, but that's all. You got to reach beyond that at some point. Like at what point does it go? Okay, we got to go beyond the people that. Now, granted, yes, you want to get the people, you want to keep the people who invested in you to stay invested, but it's I akin it to like people buying season tickets, right? The people that bought season tickets to a team sport is already committed, regardless. You need to get the people who are hesitant on committing to commit, and that's where AEW falls short to me.
Right.
And they need to figure that portion out because that's a huge portion. Like, yeah, they're playing to the floor instead of trying to play to the ceiling, if that makes sense.
No, I completely understand. Did you see the match with MJF and Samoa Joe?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get the luxury of being there in person. Like you. Like like some famous person, James J. But I did get to catch the replay.
How many stars you give MJF Samoa Joe versus Escos?
I mean, three is a good starter. It got people invested into the show. But then again, like I said, overexposing your champion is not a good thing, no matter how many matches you try to put him in. So
Right. Um, I'll be even more generous. It was a 3-star match with everything that happened afterwards, 3.5, because they were leading to a story. Okay, so first match on the actual card, we got Stang, Debbie Allen, Adam Copeland with Ric Flair, um, the ghost of Ric Flair, I should say, versus
Yes.
the Patriarchy, Kristen Cake, Luchasaurus, and Damian Wayne. Pro Diggity. Um, um, Adam Copeland won against Luchasaurus in 15 minutes and 10 seconds. Good way to start the show. High crowd. Obviously, Sting is never not going to be popular in his home state. All around, good way to start the show. Your thoughts, please.
I mean, the people I thought was going to win didn't win. I guess Sting lives to see another day. I thought he would be going out on his back like everyone else, but no, no, no. But hey, but I will say this: the children's choir that sang the team was the MVP.
Oh hell yeah!
Christian is for the kids, homie. I love that. He
He's a
did that.
loving, devoted father.
So I must say, this is his best work. I will give him that much. See, if I don't give nobody else credit, I'll give him his flowers because he's on fire with that for the kids shit. It's off the wall. Um, that shit, that shit's legit. I give him that.
How many stars you give this one?
Considering Sting didn't lose 3 stars.
And I will also like to say,
I really thought he was going to take the pin.
I also will say that my streak of seeing Sting lose matches has been broken. Sting has finally won a match that I was live in person for.
Oh,
Um,
look at you. So happy, happy.
I give it I give it 3 stars as well. Next match, AEW International Championship match. Orange Cassidy defeated John Moxley in 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Luckily it was not long. It was not very offensive. It somewhat worked for me. What say you, Kalito?
I mean, I Mox is bleeding. That's a given.
Yeah,
Although I did this like change how Orange Cassidy. You remember? To me, this is like Orange Cassidy's like breakout from like being lazy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Am I, you and it reminds me of, and I'm just gonna go back. You remember when the Street Profits? Everybody thought that they were just some gimmicky motherfuckers until they beat up some motherfuckers in the parking lot, and I was like, yeah, that means they mean business.
yeah.
That's what I got with Orange Cassidy with this match. But I already told you, to me, it kind of changed for me with him when he did that big bump, like when Moxley was coming up the ring and Orange Cassidy, who's usually cool as a fan, just like went out of his way to knock Moxley the fuck off his path. So that's why I was like, oh, that's different. That's something new. So it made me pay attention because it was out of his element, and he went out of his element and beat Moxley.
How many stars do you give this one?
Wasn't that long? 2.5. I mean, granted, for all that I just said about Cassidy, they should have just made it more storytelling esque. But
Yeah, if you're looking for stories, you're not going to get it from a guy that eats paper. I
True.
and I also agree 2.5 is a fair assessment. Um, we got the AEW Women's World Championship match, timeless Tony Storm with Luthor. She defeated who are you? Sheeta. In 10 minutes and 25 seconds. Um, by, and I am not making this up, loading her ass with steel to beat Hikaru Suga. How did you feel about Tony Storm loading her ass?
Who doesn't want Tony Storm loading her ass? But that's a whole nother topic for another day. At least one match I got right. Jesus. Uh, well, no. I put like we got the MJF part right, but at least this is the beginning of the streak. So, um, yeah, I mean, I kind of figured it was her time. She was over with the gimmick, and you know how it is in AEW. If you're over with a gimmick, you're gonna get a title.
Even if the referee is literally staring at your ass with a piece of metal sticking out of it.
I mean, hey, you got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. We're in America, sir. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
I mean, it was pretty reasonable that it was, sticking out of her uh her ring
But
gear.
butt
It was
cheeks,
literally
her,
exposed.
her butt cheeks.
Yeah,
You have to prove that she used it, sir.
I'll go 3 stars. What say you?
It was three. It was definitely a 3 star. But Tony got the win, so that's all that matters, right? Right.
Now we have a fatal four-way tag team a ladder match for the tag team championships. I was not aware that this was a ladder match when it happened, um, or when we reviewed it last week. Um, but Ricky Stark, Big Bill, they defeated Falcon and Grove Noble, Rush and Duelistico, Jose the Assistant, Tristan Vance, FTR, Kings of the Black Throne, Milwaukee Black, and Brody Burger King. Um,
Did you call him Milwaukee Black? No.
not Milwaukee, Milwaukee.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Milwaukee's best, like the beer. But that, nevertheless, he does.
As somebody that was at this show that saw this match live, I'm not gonna lie. It was a little hard to figure out who was who doing what. Simply because almost everybody was wearing white. And the only person that you could audibly visibly make out was Brody King because the man is fucking huge. Um, that being said, nothing significant happened in this match. It wasn't necessarily a memorable ladder match. It was just a ladder match that had people in it. What say you, Kaliko?
The same. I mean, what was the difference between that and doing a fatal 4-way regular tag match? Except they just wanted violence, and we know how the AEW crowd loves violence, as we will preview that later on.
Yes, we will. Right.
So, with that being said,
Kaliko, how many stars?
2.5.
I feel you're even being generous with that. 2 stars, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. We got a three-way for the AEW That Bitch Show Championship. Um,
Damn, that bitch.
well, that's what
Why can't TBS mean? How come TBS can't mean the big show?
because there's already a big show.
That's what I'm saying. In his honor.
We got Julia Hart defeating Chris Statlander and Sky Blue to become the new TBS champion in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. Um, I like Julia Hart, and I thought the way that the match ended was clever. It was a heelless way to win the match. Um, was it the most prettiest of matches? Probably not, but at the end of the day, I think the right person won. What say you, Kalika?
Really, because we both thought Sky Blue's big ass was winning.
Yeah,
We did not see Julia Hart winning out the blue. Unintended. Uh, so kudos to her. First reign. It feels like Statlander's going to get the title back soon, though.
probably. So hopefully Hart will do something with it before they decided to pull it off. Though it's not going to be an empty run.
Well, we know AEW loves empty runs.
But how many stars you give this one?
Mm, kind of clunky, but 2.5.
Oh, yeah, I'll agree with that. All right, that brings us to Texas Death Match. We got Texas Death Match in Los Angeles between somebody from Virginia and Washington. Apparently, that means it's more of a last man standing match rules. Nobody told me that. Don't think they told anybody that, but Swerve Strickland defeated Hangman Page uh, by knockout, apparently. And yeah, this match kind of felt like being in the Roman Colosseum, honestly. What the crowd was just blood hungry maniacs. Um Prince Nana came out, I swerve when I drive, the fucking whole crowd was explosive for that shit. Everybody loved Nana, everybody loved the song, everybody was dancing. Swerve got literally the biggest pop out of anybody on that show, and that includes MJF. And I don't think maybe for a second, people were always behind Swerve. Everybody wanted Swerve the whole long way, which is a little interesting and a little funny considering that he's the guy that broke into the babyface's house and you know tortured his son, his child, in a crib. Um, that being said, could you really call this a match? This is. It was more of mutilating each other back and forward. I don't believe there was even, actual moves given to each other. It was just one ridiculously dangerous high spot of to the next. But what say you, Kalika?
Let me start by saying that Magic Johnson would have been nervous as much blood is popping off at this match. But um, And welcome to 2023, where you can do anything that you want, but as long as your interest songs got a hella hook, they are right behind you. Uh, take notes, MJF. Might want to change your theme music. Uh, but yeah, it just seemed mauling. It, but that was the whole point of it. I mean, Texas Deathmatch. It wasn't. The premise to the story was the point that it kind of went beyond a match, and it's just about them going to the depths of below to figure out who's willing to do what to win. At least that's the premise I got, because that's what Swerve himself said. Was like, he was like, "Oh, Hangman ain't coming out with all these crazy bedazzles and da da da." He doesn't know he's in hell with me. He thinks he's coming. He thinks he's going down with me, not realizing he's there with me. And this match kind of showed that, right? That was the whole purpose of the match to me, is to show that Swerve was already in his head by making him do things out of his element. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So he made him
So
take his blood.
that was the point. Like how that's the point. I mean, Hangman's not in his element. He had, because it got personal, and usually the storylines was supposed to be, when it gets personal, you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to the point. Now, him drinking blood like he's Magic Johnson drinking hose in the 80s is a whole different story. But I get the premise.
And I did
People
also.
are saying that this,
Yeah, continue.
and people are saying this is like the greatest death match ever type thing. I will say, if you understood the premise, yes. But if you're a casual looking at that, you're like, what's the difference between this and MMA? Because at least in MMA, I know it's real.
What do you have to say the R word?
Well,
Um,
well, that's what I'm saying. But you have to, and that's the thing. People are looking at it from the wrestling fans' eyes, which is, yeah, you can do that. But you also have to look at it from a person who's like, oh, random on a Saturday night, let me give this a shot.
what? Well, you
And
know,
they're looking at that like, what the fuck?
you are right on one point. On one point, the story was there, and if you really look closely at the match, there are things that do make sense. There was somewhat of psychology to it. You know, it had elements that could have made it a great match. The Hangman gets his revenge. Um, Nana pulls Swerve out of the ring. He saves his guy. What is his name? Cage. Brian Cage. Helps the bad guy. Page gets his revenge on Nana. Which I didn't like. I didn't like seeing Nana get killed. Um, and at the end of the day, the bad guy won because the odds were in his favor. But, he got fucked up at the end of it as well. All of that is great storytelling, but it gets covered up with a lot of unnecessary shit. And they could have had an even better match. They could have had a 5-star match if they didn't throw the kitchen sink at each other. Less is more in pro wrestling. And, even like the finish of the match, he hit him with the brick, and he got up after getting hit by a brick. Like, no, that's not. If that was like a legit brick, Hangman wouldn't have gotten up in 10 seconds. He would have been dead. Um, and but he was able to get up, and then the reason the match ended is because he choked him with a chain. He hung Hangman. Uh, and in all honesty, that was a little bit of a flat ending. But if he it just ended with the brick spot, it would have been fine. The staples was unnecessary. The glass was unnecessary. A lot of what they did was unnecessary. It could have been a hell of a lot better if they did a hell of a lot less. But like I said, there was elements that did make it a good match. It was just covered up by the Gaga.
It was covered up by the blood spot because I think the spot where Adam is drinking his blood, kind of, because that turns it off, right?
I mean, it's
Because
disgusting.
people, it, it that plus we're still kind of in the COVID era, so it's very, very unsafe to say the least. To say the least. Um, but yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Where common sense would tell you, if someone pops you a brick, you're you're done down for the count.
And
So yeah, it should have ended with the brick spot.
drinking.
I'm in full agreement there.
You have to think Moxley was thinking, fuck, I thought about drinking blood.
Somewhere Gangrel's like, yes.
I was like, I've been doing this shit for 20 fucking years. And nobody
And
cared.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get a viral tweet from it. And I've been doing this shit coming out of fire. A random cowboy does it and gets a million views.
But seriously, wrestling, pro wrestling aside, it's not a good idea to drink somebody's blood.
I told you Magic Johnson is even over there cringing.
How many stars do you give this one?
So I mean, it's crazy. It, it's bananas.
How many stars do you give the match?
I feel like I have to rate this on 2 points because the match itself was like 3.5. The premise is a 4 because I get where they were trying to go. It's just that in going low, there are some things where you think if I hit you with this, you're dead, and that's where it should have ended. So it's a 2 scale system. If you're looking at the premise and the story, a 4. If you're looking at the match itself, about a 3.5.
So 3 1/4, 3 7/5.
I guess I can meet it in the middle. Yeah. I mean, the crowd kind of made it happen because they were bloodthirsty. But I mean,
The crowd definitely made that match. Um, I'll give it that extra quarter, 4 stars. It was the match everybody wanted to see, and it, I guess, it delivered what people wanted to see. And obviously Strickland comes out of it a bigger star. I don't necessarily know what Hangman Page gets out of it, other than salmonella or whatever you know blood-borne diseases you could get from drinking a man's blood.
I know. I'm like, do they have to take tests after that?
I would hope. I
I feel like it would have to be like a mandatory pre, during, and post when you're gonna do a spot like that.
Now that brings us to the next match, the Golden Jet Skis. Chris Jericho and Twinkle Toes McFinglefuck. They defeated the young Bucks, the middle-aged Bucks, Matt and Nick, in 20 minutes and 45 seconds. They got the Young Bucks title opportunity. We talked about the Bucks earlier, you know, becoming heels, trying to capture glory days that are maybe not as glorious as they may be have been. Um, this match didn't need to be on this card. This could have been a pre-show match, honestly. Nobody was really into it. The crowd was dead after Swerve and Hangman, and
Pretty much.
about halfway through it, I was tired. I was ready to get to the main event so I could go home. So this match really, it had no business being here, and it certainly had no business being 20 minutes long.
Well, how are you gonna follow someone drinking blood? Even the Bucks are like, wait a minute, I gotta follow that shit. So I mean, it's just yeah. It's that bad match. It's like what was that? It was one match, and then you're like, I gotta follow that shit. And it's like, nah.
Yes.
But I mean, it did become the filler to get to the main event, I guess.
Well, how many stars do you give this one?
I mean, it wasn't the best. So a 2?
I agree with that.
I mean, it wasn't their best.
No, it certainly wasn't. That brings us to our main event. Adam Cole, baby, versus Jay White for the AEW World Championship match. The winner of the match, MJF, because he came to defend his champion, because he's just that great of a fucking guy. And 29 minutes and 45 seconds. Um, Max got a pop. People were digging him coming out in the ambulance. But by the end, I don't even want to say halfway through, a quarter of the way in, people were dead tired. People wanted to go home, honestly. They did not want to be there any longer. And they just kind of wanted it to end. I kind of felt the same. Um, when you have, when your last three matches are a half hour each, it becomes a bit of a chore to be there. And this match could have been half the time and still do more than it needed to for the storyline purposes. But it's AEW and they overdo everything. What say you, Flico?
So this show do like have these long ass matches.
Right, and he wrestled 10 minutes at the beginning of the show as well.
But that's what I'm telling you. Overusage of a star. Your top star should not be working 15 minutes. Especially if he's your champion.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to me. Does not doth not make sense to me. So I mean, they have to figure something out with that because it's not gonna help them.
How many stars do you give this one?
Considering there was a gang of confusion, 2.5. I mean, because it went from Adam Cole fighting, then JF came to fight, and it's like, okay, did they need to restart the match? how did that work?
Right.
It was just confusing. Because if the match already started, why the hell is MJF coming out to finish the match?
And how was he able to walk a 30-minute match with a broken leg? Um, More or less Adam Cole walking a match when he has a broken ankle, and how was he allowed to take Max's place, but was not able to actually defend the championships that he actually holds with Max instead of Samoa Joe? More questions.
See, that's my point. It's a lot. So let me get this straight. He couldn't defend the tag title because he was hurt, but he could come in and defend the heavyweight title because his boy's hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah, make it make sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think we need to call this AEW logic. Right,
Yeah, I would not put. I couldn't put that past you. Yeah, AEW logic.
right. You gave it 2.5 stars, right?
Yeah, because it was just a bunch of confusion. At that point, it was just confusion.
Yeah, I agree. 2.5. Alright, this show as a whole, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
Mm, was it their worst show? No. Was it their best show? Hell no. So in the middle, because mainly because the crowd kind of carried that show, considering the fact they're like, oh, we got a pay per view on the West Coast, and the fact that they were just blood hungry for Swerve. I mean, honestly, that we could all agree that was the match of the night, right? Swerve was the man of the night.
Yep.
That match was the match of the night,
Mm-hmm.
and so MJF kind of becomes an afterthought,
Right. Nobody was talking about MJF at the end of the night.
which is not really good considering that's your champion.
Right.
Remember when we had CM Punk as champion and they kept putting John Cena in the main event?
Yeah.
And people complained about it, but no one's really complaining about. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna go there. See, might start a fight.
Now, if this show ended with Swerve and Hangman, and that was literally the last match, this would have been a thumbs up show. I would have gave it 2 thumbs up. Considering that there was 2 long-ass matches that were predictable afterwards, that makes this a thumbs in the middle show. Because it was the show literally flatlined after Swerve and Hangman. They don't
Pretty
know.
much.
They do not know
The,
when to stop.
the air went out of that arena after, so because all the energy was in that match.
Right. All right. That will conclude our coverage of AEW Full Gear, and we are wrestling with WWE Survivor Series. So later today, it takes place in Chicago, Illinois, at the Rosemont Horizon Allstate Arena. Is expected to be a 17,000 seat sellout. If you watched SmackDown last night, you know that yeah, there was a lot of fucking people in the crowd. Um, so let's get into it. There's 5 matches on the card. Um, you know, 2 of them are probably going to go 40 plus minutes. So essentially, there is, you know, it does seem somewhat solid to a degree. What's your take on the card as a whole? Okay. So, what are your thoughts on the 5 matches announced?
Uh, I think they kind of like understand short and sweet is to the point. Uh, Honestly, I think it's crazy because they're kind of doing the opposite of what AEW is doing. Because remember, what was it? Didn't they have a event in Indiana, and it just was only like 5 shows on the card. So they're getting the understanding of less is more because when you got the matches that people want to see, it's easier to sell them in on those than trying to,
Right.
load it up, New Japan. But so yeah, we'll see how it goes. Now that doesn't guarantee good matches, but it just guarantees that all the matches have importance. But I think that's always been a Triple H thing.
Right.
So he's always been with all his events. He tends to go not that many matches, less is more. Make people pay attention to the matches that actually has importance to it.
This is probably going to be the first match on the card,
Does that mean they're all going to be bangers? No.
but it doesn't not mean that they're all going to be bangers as well. The first
I
match,
mean, that doesn't mean every match is going to be a five-star match, but
but maybe it can. But we got the women's War Games match to start. Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control. Uh, we got Io Sky. And on that farm, there was a Dakota Kai with a barely there and a barely there. Barely is everywhere. Dakota Kai's not in the match though. It's Britt Bailey, Io, Asuka, and Kairi Sane, the punk emo pirate. Who wins, Kaliko?
it's very confusing because usually when you have these matches with like factions, factions usually tend to win. Um, but in this match, I think Bailey gets turned on, Damage Control loses.
Did Damage Control lose last time? Yes, they did. They lost
They
last year.
did?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Bianca
So you
Belair.
think the Pirate Princess is putting them over the top?
Well, last year it was Bianca, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Mia Yim and Becky Lynch. They defeated Bailey, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, ironically enough, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. So not
Yeah, but
technically.
that was like a Raw versus SmackDown format. You can't.
Oh, fair enough.
This is a Raw versus. This isn't a Raw versus SmackDown format. This is more of how Triple H did in NXT when you have these factions, and these factions are the ones that are actually fighting for their lives, not the actual brand split that we've come to know.
So who are you going with?
Honestly, my mind is telling me that Damage Control is gonna lose because something's gonna have to give with because we kind of all see Bailey coming out of this like getting betrayed, right?
But
So the question is, do you think that peaks after they win, or do you think that peaks because they lose?
hmm. Well, if it's expected, then doesn't that mean that it's usually not going to happen?
People are expecting CM Punk to come back.
It could happen.
Need I say more?
You have to have hope, Kaliko. So,
Hope don't pay the bills.
so you're going with a damage control L.
I I can't see them because they're adding a new group member. And the thing is this: by adding a new group member, they added two new group members.
Right.
So honestly, it's just a factor of chemistry. Like, which team do you think has the better chemistry? A hodgepodge of people who kind of came together and has this common enemy, or a stable that's kind of been kind of thin ice and they got two new members, and the person who thinks they're the leader is not realizing that they may not be the leader. So it's kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Both, I'll put it this way: both teams have variables to the point where if they lose, I am not shocked if either loses.
I'm going.
But I will take the whiff on the faces because Judgment Day is gonna have to win at the end, and I don't see two heels winning both matches.
Well, that's well, that's what I was kind of going to get at. We'll talk about the Judgment Day match, and when we get to it. But I do see Damage Control winning this one. Um, I think that they did add two new members to the group, and it would kind of be meaningless if they just lost. Um, so and then when we get to, I do think that the men's is going to go to the faces, and that's another reason why I think Damage Control is going to win this one. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Um, we got a singles match with Carlito Caribbean Cool um, fighting Santa Escobar.
Well, actually, it's Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar.
Oh, Dragon Lee now?
Carlito is, or at least what I've read, is injured, so therefore it is Dragon Lee.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. We will get back to this match. Let's go Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz. Who wins that match?
Ooh, Gunther ain't no Katya. Don't get me wrong. I love The Miz. I love his hustle. I love his story. I love the fact that he has trying to go for the most intercontinental reigns. However, Gunther is a whole different motherfucker than beating Dolph Ziggler for the title. So Gunther.
Yeah, agreed. Gunther for the win. Yeah, going back to Santo Escobar, he is fighting Dragon Lee indeed. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Carlito. I think people would rather see Carlito than Dragon Lee at this point, but I digress. Who wins the match?
They're saving Carlito because Santos needs to win to justify his turn. See, everything needs a justification or a means to it. What's the point of him turning if he's not going to benefit? So that's why. It'll build up to Carlito. Carlito get his turn to get them hands, but for right now, Dragon Lee, you're the first victim on The Price is Right. Come on now.
All right. Sending the Dragon out to slaughter.
I mean, shit, they already brought Sonata out to slaughter.
Rhea Ripley defending the Women's World Championship against Zoe Starks.
Next.
The men's War Games match. We got Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn with Randy Orton. They're taking on the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, DJ McBunko, and Drew McIntyre. Who wins?
This is where I think the faces win. Because of the simple fact that the way the Judgment Day is kind of too chummy to me, and the fact that it kind of had the whole "I'm the leader" thing,
Right.
which seemed to set this Judgment Day off more so than anything. So that they're winning. To me, the faces are winning, and this is going to start to see the breakup of the Judgment Day because adding a new member, especially someone who somebody didn't like, and then adding Drew McIntyre due to mommy doing that, it it kind of rubs me like somebody's about to go.
I don't know about that, but I think Drew McIntyre is in this match to take the L. And whether whoever is the one that gives the pin, that pins him, that's going to be the next rivalry for Drew McIntyre. Whether that's Jey Uso or Cody Rhodes. I don't necessarily
It would have.
expect Randy Orton to get the W on this one. The pin, anyway.
Well, wait a minute. So this is the bigger question. So because is it like the old war games where it's individual elimination, or is it just that the single pin
Single pin.
completes it? Okay, so there we go.
So I think if Drew takes the L, it doesn't hurt the Judgment Day. And they could make they'll argue within it themselves, but they at the end of the day you could say, well, we didn't lose, lost. He's not a part of us. You know what I mean?
But I could see that because it could start infighting of the fact that Rhea was the one who put him in that spot in the first place. So I could see that happening. But I also see the point where JD McDonough takes the pin and Damien and Finn are kind of going at it. Because eventually they're going to have to lose the tag title. So the question is, what is the catalyst for that to happen? Because there's going to be it's a lot of moving parts because we got a Money in the Bank that is yet to be cashed in. We have a group that has a tag team that we're going to have to determine who's contenders, who's going to take it off of them so that the Judgment Day story can continue. So it's a lot of moving parts.
I think, well, I don't necessarily. What the issue? I think the issues right now are with Priest and Rhea rather than Finn and Priest. They kind of went through that already. I mean, yeah, they could bring it back up, but I think they're telling the
The
story.
reason,
Huh?
well, the reason it would have to be between them two because somebody's gonna have to betray somebody to cause the title loss. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless they do something unprecedented in which they kick a tag champion out the group and give the tag title to somebody else,
Hmm.
which would be something different. That would be really, really different. And I could welcome that. Like, oh my God, not only did they kick him out, they didn't even let him like keep the title on the way out type deal, which is different, but it's just a matter of how they're gonna go about it. And I'm not all against that though. Be quite honest. Fresh change. Fresh change to break up a group.
Right. So I'm going with Drew McIntyre taking a pin from Jey Uso or Cody. Who are you going with?
Ooh, that's cool. The only reason I don't see McIntyre taking the pin from Jay is the simple fact that Jay is going to end up dealing with Jimmy in a couple months. Um, I think I think Seth is in a world of trouble because he needs to keep his shit on the swivel. He's got Nakamura after. He's definitely got Drew after him. He's definitely got Damien after him. Definitely got Cody after him. Too many people for him to keep a head on the swivel. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, Seth pins Drew.
Wow, you're going with Drew takes an L as well.
I think it's either Seth pins Drew or JD gets pinned by Jay.
Okay. So what answer are you locking in? Because two different people are winning the match in both scenarios.
I know. So I'm gonna go McDonough getting pinned by Jay.
Alright.
Because this is Jay's first shot at Survivor Series as a single star. It kind of puts him up in there as the sole survivor. And that used to mean something. Yes, kids, being the sole survivor meant something.
No, it's not on the card. It's not being published. It's not a thing quite yet. But do you see them adding a Nakamura Open Challenge match?
Everyone, I don't,
You know what I'm getting at, right?
considering the, yes, you're considering the Nakamura CM Punk drama, because somehow Living Color came out with a remastered version of Cult of Personality the day before, ironically enough.
Have you not
So,
have you not been on Reddit?
no,
Okay, so the big thing on Reddit right now is instead of CM Punk, WWE brings back. That is, and it's the meme of the internet right now is instead of CM Punk, who does WWE instead of CM Punk, WWE brings back, and you fill in the blank. One of these instead of CM Punk's WWE brings back you was one of them that CM Punk actually um, posted himself. He didn't post it, but he shared the post on his social media. I think that there might be something there. Obviously we'll see it when it's there, and if Nakamura comes out, then odds are it is going to be CM Punk. That
So
being
wait a minute. What was the rumor again? Everything's out. Who?
Oh, it's just a meme, honestly. It's just a CM instead of the CM Punk, WWE brings back the Gobbledygook Ball. Um Instead of CM Punk, WWE brings back Gilborg. They bring back
Anonymous GM.
Jackie Daytona.
Anonymous GM.
Yeah. So it's taken on a life of its own, but it does seem interesting, and I think that it might happen. I think that there's better chance of it happening than not happening, is what I'm gonna say. It's all I'm going to say.
Un- Unfortunately, but the problem is like if he comes back, which punk are you getting?
Well, that's the question now, ain't it?
And that's the biggest that's the biggest question of them all. Are you getting Punk trying to get back to survive main event WrestleMania, or are you getting Punk shitting on AEW?
We shall see. But I mean, I can imagine that
See,
a match with Nakamura isn't going to be 5 stars, no?
I really had hopes from Nakamura when he was feuding with Seth. I really thought he would have got the title from him.
Yeah. I mean, all is not lost yet, but
Hurts you.
I mean, a CM Punk Nakamura rivalry won't necessarily suck, if I'm being honest.
Mm, CM Punk Kento probably would have made more sense.
Well, WWE, Kenta left WWE quite some time ago, so.
I know, but I know, but I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Alright, I think that will conclude our coverage of WWE Survivor Series. Um, we will do a full review next week on the show. Until then, we will conclude this episode. Thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and KO1 Coffee. Join us this Tuesday as we interview Mickey Mobile. This Wednesday as we interview Alex Ace. Join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Instagram, and Thread, and follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Kalika?
I am Kaliko, getting ready for Survivor Series. Happy Turkey Day, everybody. Or post Turkey Day.
Yes, we're full of turkey and rage right now.
And Hangman Page, but yeah.
For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.